Hello, beautiful listeners. Welcome to your least favorite podcast. This is Shanze Rosa, and we're back with another one. I have Darsheel here over with us today, and we are gonna get into the deepness, the maybe not the darkness. I don't think so. Not like Hollywood. I would like to apologize for harassing your manager. I was just like, I think I get like stressed easily when I don't hear back from people. But that's why I'm not in this industry and you are. So I'm assuming you do well with stress, but we'll get into that. Let's start talking about someone else's interview. In a 2023 interview, Google's most search, you said that you knew you kind of wanted to pursue acting when you were doing theater in college, but you were an actor before that. So what was the difference between then and then college, if you could highlight that for us?
Right. So, as firstly, thank you for having me here. It's so much fun. I love talking. Uh, Coming to right to your question, um, and in life you're presented with opportunities, and you just sort of run with it. You go with the flow, and then after a while or so, as the film happened, I it was never on my agenda or my to-do list that I want to become an actor. Although I really accepted it with open arms and was very, very happy about it, and I was having a blast. But I really wasn't prepared. So most of my acting experience and most of my development as an actor was happening on the floor, in front of a camera, because I've had no formal training as of yet. Also, of my really less knowledge about the film industry, because I did not come from a family of actors or any sort of back. My father did theater on some time back and some TV, but that's 30, 40 years.
It's very different from.
Yes. So my father did theater some time back and film and some TV as well, but not as not that many roots in the film industry. So we were starting from scratch. I was doing stuff. I was getting the opportunity to work with some esteemed people, um, like Deepa Mehta ma'am, and I had the chance to work with Disney and whatnot. And all this while, I was doing what I was told rather than doing what came from within and then accepting what was told and then, marrying the two. So I was a little lost, if using a better term. I was thinking that how does a person get ideas to improvise in a character? How do you understand how do you bring a character to life? I was doing what I was told. I was not really doing what came from within, and I was a little worried about that. That okay, I have my co-actors and my co-stars who are absolutely nailing this, nailing the characters and nailing the accents and improvising dialogues and lines. And why am I not able to do this? And that was because obviously I had no formal training and I had no experience, and I was very young. So theater just ended up happening. I was never again. That was never a conscious decision. I got the opportunity. I took it with both arms, and then what happened during theater, I've done theater since 2016, so you can count 8 years or so. Remove the year or two of the pandemic because that time nothing was happening. I experienced what um, the real connection between an actor and an audience, a listening, a watching, and observing audience, something that an actor will always dream about. You ask the biggest stars, you ask the biggest celebrities, biggest actors. The one thing they'll value the most is connecting with their audiences on whatever level. So I experienced that when I did theater, and I was doing comedy plays all over India, and had like two or three international shows as well. And that experience for me there was so much learning. I struggled so much because theater is a different ball game as an actor, and it really sharpens your skill all around.
Yeah.
Not just as an actor, not just as somebody who's understanding a character, but also as a human being. Darsheel myself, I changed so much after I did theater. And I got a real understanding as to why I want to do films, why I want to be an actor,
Okay.
okay, and how much my love for acting really is.
Mm-hmm.
Theater absolutely, I don't know how to say this, grounds you.
It
It
does.
it has
It
no
really
form of
does.
it has no form of uh, fashion, glamour,
Mm.
and the fame and the monies and none of this. It's just pure acting.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you're able to play that game, if you're able to accept that, if you're able to work out a little bit well in that, then possibly it's better for you. I mean, then life becomes easier. So when I
Mm-hmm.
did theater, I realized in my head that damn, I really like acting. I
Okay.
really like talking, and I really like expressing.
Yeah.
And having an audience listen and an audience relate to what I'm doing. And that's when, possibly around 2018, I guess, is when I had real clarity as to,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Okay.
this is the journey I'm consciously gonna take up.
All right. Okay. And you mentioned theater being kind of like the point of the direction you chose to pursue this. I have a question for you. Do you feel
Yes.
like theater is going to kind of boom and get bigger, or do you feel like it's gonna just stay within schools and it's gonna be kind of its own small world, or do you feel like it can be bigger?
I wish. I
Mm-hmm.
think it is. See, I'll tell you something. Theater, films, web shows are all majority driven, okay? Wherever there's an audience, wherever there is awareness amongst an audience, that thing will boom.
Flourish. Yeah.
With regards to theater, there's a preconceived notion that it's for old people.
Mm.
It is boring.
Yep.
It is Shakespearean. It is experimental. It is not that relatable.
Yeah.
Whereas the theater that I've been involved with is very urban, very young, very relatable. It's Hindi and sometimes rural, and we're doing English and we're doing comedy.
Yeah.
So you tend to relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
I am a little inexperienced to give you the foresight on where theatre is going.
Mm-hmm.
Although I do think that if I hope I can inspire more younger people, fresh faces, and everybody to embrace theatre. So automatically they do plays, and then some really good plays tend to get their word of mouth, and then audiences start embracing it. Today, overall audience patience also has reduced a little.
It does. Yeah.
For them to just get out of their houses and travel to an auditorium, buy some tickets, watch the play, and engross for 2 hours and invest rather.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel that it is a very it's like an all-encompassing process. You need to have the right stories, the right scripts, and multiple. I don't mean just like one play doing well. I mean that we need to have like 10, 12 plays
Yes.
which are more relatable, more fun to watch, worth an paying audience members time. And because I'm doing it since the last 8 years, I was 19, I believe, when I joined theater. I'm 27 now, so I see a certain transformation amongst my peers as well. I've had so many calls where people are like, Rashil, I want to do theater. Rashil, we want to try some theater.
Mm.
And I'm like, are you sure? Because that I feel the true test of an actor is if you're able to be a theater artist.
Okay.
Because majority of the actors are gonna be up for the fun of it, which
The
is of course it's
glamour.
nobody's fault.
Yes.
It's anything. I mean, overnight you're becoming rich, or overnight you're becoming viral or anything. Why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah.
But for the soul of it, for the core of it, if you're doing theater, I think that's more about it. And I'll tell you, most of the biggest actors today have all had their hands washed in theaters. I mean, everybody has done some form or the other of theater.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know about the scenario, but I will tell you one thing. You'll be seeing me until I'm like 90 or 100, but I'll be doing theater, web shows, and films. I'm
Okay.
a greedy actor.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're going to see me on all formats. You're going to see me on all formats, relating with the audience in whatever way possible, and hopefully giving them their money's worth.
Yeah. And I love this love and passion you have for theater that I don't see in the youth. I love theater. I do mostly musicals, which is similar. There's an overlap, but the stage performance, it really is magical. And yes, there's glamour in screen, and there's glamour in the cameras, but there's something that if you can create curiosity and interest in theater, I think that you're doing every like 10 people's jobs in one character, because you're not,
Right.
yeah, because there's no camera angles, there's no special effects there, there's no, right, it really is in the people on stage.
Nothing necessarily there to enhance an actor's performance. Because I was seeing a film recently. I was seeing a snippet rather of Joaquin Phoenix, and I was seeing that how a close-up shot really enhances his eyes.
Yeah.
With the music and the color palette and the color grading and everything, the entire package of it, and you're like, whoa, you're bowled over. You're more engrossed into that.
Oh yeah.
And then now you're on stage, and now there is no cameras, no color grading, no VFX, no close-up shots, just a human standing, and you're supposed to, live that moment. So theater really tests an actor's ability, that as a human, if you can make yourself relate to uh, an audience, So, was just adding to what you were saying
Yeah,
anyway.
awesome.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're fine, you're fine. I love it. I'd like to touch on capital A and small a for a little bit. And I want to ask you, why do you think you get roped into playing student characters, and why? I mean, not just in India cinema, but also Hollywood. It seems to be a center point and like the safest subject matter. You don't know what movie to make, place it in high school. Don't know what the topic will be, get some students. And it seems to be like the secret formula. Why do you think that's always just a character that you can't escape, maybe?
I'll tell you, I'll give you a general answer first. That, I feel this, you get to see more of this stuff because it's the formative years of everybody's life.
Right.
You'll see a younger, a more, like kids, like babies, and younger children, nursery, and possibly just pre-primary kids, and they'll be talking about this student phase of their lives, the teens, and you'll see adults, young adults, middle-aged adults also talking about this time of their life, because this is an adventurous time. I mean, things are happening in your life, with regards to meeting people, situations, relationships. There is a certain fire within you. There's a flame, and that's why I feel that majority of the stuff that comes out today, and if there are lack of options, people tend to go into this. That way, I'm lucky.
Yeah.
I'm happy that I can offer this. The other thing is that I feel that I do not really stop myself from thinking. I actually stop myself from thinking that why am I getting this work, or why am I getting that work? Because if you think like that, you're mentally blocking yourself from those opportunities.
Yeah.
Right? Right now, as an actor, my job is to act, bring stories to life, marry the vision of a director and a writer, bring it to the audience. We are presenters. We are expressive presenters to the audience, right? We are no. This is my personal opinion. Okay, I'm not saying this is how it should be. We are in no position to really choose what acting I will do, or where will I act. If you're an actor, you act. Like a salesman cannot say, okay, I'm just gonna sell pillows. A salesman is a salesman. He can sell mobile phone charger. He can sell anything. You cannot decide that. Yeah, there can be things that you're really good at. So, say for example, if an actor is preferred with the choice of playing a student and playing a father, and he's really good at playing a student, he can decide that, okay, I think I'm really good at this. I'm comfortable with this. That's where you can choose.
Right.
Right? I don't think that this attitude of choosing, okay, I'll not do theater, I'll just do web shows for now, and I'll not do web shows, and I'll just do films for now. It's
Mm-hmm.
great for focus and concentration. It's fantastic because you're, streamlining yourself.
Yeah.
But I feel as an actor, it's the entire universe in your hands. It's
Yes.
the world. You're bringing people to.
Make the choice. Um, do you have a preference on what kind of character you'd like to play or what kind of genre you rather dabble in?
See, after doing theater, I realized that I'm seeing so much theater now. Everyone's gonna think anyway, but it's really I'm grateful for it. It's really changed and shaped my opinion and made me a much more open-minded person. I really think that as an actor, I would love to play something that would go and relate to somebody whoever's watching. Okay, you have a 100 seater, a 500 seater, a 1,000 seater, and every single person there, if they're able to relate some part of themselves, be it a memory, a feeling, an
Mm-hmm.
emotion, and something that I can bring to the table. Now, it's a character, for example, I'm playing a 17-year-old, okay, I'm 27 today.
Yeah.
In the story, my character goes through a certain journey. But now I have the opportunity to add those small, tiny nuances, the small, tiny layers which will cater to that audience. For example, I decide to add a Rubik's Cube element to my character. There are people who are fidgety, they're always
Yeah.
having a Rubik's Cube around or fidget spinners or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, if I add that, majority of the people will be like, yeah, he's a fidgety guy. This is how you are, and this is how
Mm-hmm.
I am. And, they get the chance to relate.
Yes.
So I would feel that whatever character I play, irrespective it's the most outrageously over the top character or the most subtle documentary-ish kind of a character,
Mm-hmm.
I would want to add an element of relatability with the audience. I really want to establish a connect
Yeah.
with whoever's watching me or listening to me or just I don't know.
Yeah.
so
I I really
yeah,
respect that point, and you brought it up a few times where you want to be able to have you don't want to be the dictator so much, but you want the audience to be involved as much as you are as an actor and the producer and everyone else involved. And I respect that
yes,
because I think a lot of actors and directors and producers kind of forget that the ones that are consuming it are the audience, and you got to respect
yes,
their opinions and their values, because I feel like when we produce art and we don't take into consideration those around us and that will be valuing the art, um, one thing, at least a criticism I bring up with my family and friends, is that after watching a movie, we'll analyze it and we'll say things like, it was fine, the pacing was really slow. And I think for an audience member who's taken time out to consume it, value it, talk about it so then more people can watch it, my time matters. And to just try to reach maybe a 2 hour point so then we can say, oh, the movie's 2 hours long, isn't respecting me as an audience. But I see that when you look at your craft, you kind of want to make sure that your audience is involved as much as you are.
yes,
Yeah.
and that's mostly coming from the actor, the maker, the person who's presenting. Okay,
Yeah.
if I've been told this times and again, I used to be so damn nervous when I used to perform. I was hectic and I was just running around and I was not in a clear headspace. I was just told one sentence that, boss, if you enjoy yourself and if the audience sense you enjoying yourself,
Hmm.
they will start enjoying with you.
Yeah. It's true. The energy you
Okay,
put out.
on stage, specifically on stage.
Yeah.
You watch the films that are doing really well, the recent Deadpool and Wolverine. You're seeing everybody having a blast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the moment, and then you tune into that sort of frequency, and you're like, yo, even I'm having a good time.
Yes. Yes.
So the idea that what you just mentioned, that to involve the audience equally as much as I am involved in it, but the first step, the first handshake, or the first I'm losing out on the word, but the first initiative
Mm-hmm.
is to be taken by the actor or the
Yeah.
presenter or the producer, the director, whoever it is. And then I think possibly then there is hope for things to work out.
Yeah. I love that. I don't know if you know Sahil Mehta by any chance. Um,
Sahil Mehta.
But he's a young actor like yourself, and I just felt like I had to mention him because you guys have very similar approaches when it comes to approaching your craft, and you guys are
Oh,
very much self-aware, very much energy, frequency, and I think you both, and not just you guys, but I think this young generation is very much respecting everyone involved, and I think it's has something to do with not being able to have access to those privileges of being maybe the first generation in Bollywood or Hollywood, right? You do have to pave your way when the scene is so big. So I feel like you guys
right.
are kind of humble in that sense. Um, so with humbleness, that brings me to my next question, where there's
Right.
a lot of young actors want to pursue media and arts. But there's a lot of things that come along with that, and a lot of that can be stress, a lot of that can be bullying from being outcasted, and maybe because they're jealous. But my question here is obviously, you weren't a child actor. Do you feel as though we should involve children as much as we do in the film industry, or should we steer away from those actors or ages and characters just because of the risks that are involved? Or do you feel like there's ways we can have children act but protect them a little bit more? I know it's a really sensitive
Yes,
question.
absolutely. You answered my question right in the towards the end. I was like, okay, I have an answer, but then you just answered
Oh.
it. My point being, my point being that I would really, you know, take my first film as an example. It is a film that has a sensitive subject, which really needs to um, uh, be accepted by the audience. The goal was to spread awareness, but awareness gets spread only when you're emotionally connecting. And for that, you need to see something almost real happening in front of you.
Right.
Um, when I was shooting that film, I was 9. There were there was every chance I would have become the most conscious human alive in front of those cameras, in front of that entire set, where everybody's pointing, angling the lights towards me and the camera with this big lens. The camera was as big as me. We were shooting. We're not shooting digital. We were shooting on film. One of the last few films to be shot on film. So I could have been the most conscious human alive, and now you imagine seeing a stunted, absolutely over nervous and anxious kid, and that performance would never come out. What happened on that set was that I was given absolute freedom. I was given not just freedom with regards to what I want to do, but freedom as a child. This is not a film set. This is a place where you have fun.
Mm.
The moment you break that barrier, and kids are easy to convince, because I'll tell you, after that, when I worked with kids, I was scared because I saw kids pressured by their parents. I
Mm.
saw kids pressured by God knows what not. And the soul of that was like scary moments, and I tried my best to comfort them, but it was too late. It, in fact, alienated them further. As in, why is this gentleman trying to be so familiar with me? But I was seeing that, and I was like, I think the approach to having kids needs to be a little more protected.
Mm-hmm.
The environment needs to be given
Yeah.
where they are just free flowing, where they can enjoy what they're doing, where
Right.
they're just being themselves. They're not kids that they're supposed to play a certain character. You're not going to cast a kid to play the character of Joker, for example. They're going to be playing a kid.
Yes.
So there's more nuance of the kid it's himself or herself as compared to any character that's being played. So you let the kid be free. You can let the kid roam around, have fun. Yeah, and watch the kid response with hyper awareness. Trust me, I've also seen the other side of the spectrum where there are children who are doing theater, who are doing who master musical instruments at the age of like 7, 8.
Yeah.
I recently was the chief guest at an event where there was a play being set up, The Sound of Music, and the maximum age group was 10 or 11. So there were 8, 9, 10-year olds
Okay.
live performing with music and singing
Yeah.
and acting with the mics and with the costume changes. And I was watching and I was like, what was I doing at this time? So that's the environment
Yeah.
that is really helping them.
Yeah.
So I feel that if focus can be given to the environment, especially to kids, and also to like actors like me and everybody as well.
Yes,
All of us
adults, of
actually somewhere
course.
crave for a for an open environment.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what attributes to maybe the environment not being the safest for children or adults, and I'm glad you mentioned like also for like me, I think what attributes to that is that film is still relatively new, and the fact that it's always changing at the speedy rate, it's hard to keep up with how do we implement safety, how do we implement comfort and welcomeness and belonging. Um, just like when cars came to be and they were legalized, we didn't have seatbelts because they were so new, and we didn't realize, oh, that's something we need to add. And when we also need to have speed limits, and we need to have speed bumps, and we need to have all these things. And right now, I think what we're observing with the internet is that internet safety with family vloggers and teens, it's still relatively in its infancy. So to be able to know, like, it's hard to even blame anyone, I think. But obviously, we do have to bring it up and mention it and hold people accountable. But yeah, it is a very uncomfortable topic to have. I'm glad you were able to navigate that answer for me. So, I'm glad you brought up one of your films, That Is a Mean Bit. I really didn't want to bring this up because I know you've had like more interviews on this than you can count. But the reason why I think I have to bring this up is because I have a learning disability. So I think just when I was,
Oh,
yeah. So when I was growing up and watching that, I wasn't diagnosed before the age of 8. So it was, I watched it by one perspective, and then after my diagnosis, it was relieving to be able to feel seen, to not feel crazy, I think. But to have that example on screen was definitely needed. And it was new, it was ahead of its time. We can say that. Um, so I think the point I kind of want to get to is that it was ahead of its time, and it was a topic that needed to be discussed. And now we're all kind of well and aware of the subject matter. What do you feel like today is a subject matter that should be showcased via film? Because film, everyone loves film. Everyone loves media, whether it's one genre or another. What is that new topic or old topic that just needs to be talked about? It can be a social issues. It can be a political topic. Is there anything that strikes out to
um,
you?
of course. I mean, I write as well, so I have like tons of things to tell you. That'll be possibly a separate podcast. But right off the feel that the amount of turmoil that we've experienced over the last 3 years or so, about the pandemic rather, yes, the last 5, 6, 4 years or so,
Yes.
has been pretty, has taken a toll. If you ask me, as an actor, when I'm on stage, experiencing an audience's receptivity, I have seen a change.
Okay.
Okay, and lack of patience as well.
Mm.
Um, a little bit of I don't know, lack of sensitivity and desensitized is the right word. And I don't mean it in a bad way. This is what has happened. It's I'm giving you a general consensus of what I've experienced personally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that is also because of the lack of enjoyment people felt in that the year or two, the 2020 pandemic and the 2021 pandemic. I tell you, because majorly they were confined to their homes. They had a lot of self introspecting to happen, where they found out a lot of things. They got their houses renovated, and a lot of things happened. And then there was a want of, okay, I want to get out of the house. I want to explore the world. I want to travel. People left their jobs, joined other jobs,
Mm-hmm.
really started, like on the positive side, there was a extreme increase in spirituality and extreme increase in, really in awareness overall. Like most of the things that I said right now would have sounded a little alien before the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Today people might relate to what I'm saying because they are somewhat looking at, okay, we need to be conscious when we're having a kid on set. We want to avoid the smoking and the abusing and the language, which happens,
Right.
if there's a child on set.
Yeah.
So they have become more conscious,
Okay.
more. So these are these two changes that I've noticed. I feel complete movies need to be made. Complete movies means that if even if you're making a superhero movie, which used to happen before the pandemic, that they felt like a complete film. They didn't feel like an advert
Mm-hmm.
for the next 35 films to come.
Right.
And because of the advert attitude of that film, people stopped relating to the film.
Yeah.
And also, like, the overall positivity. I mean, there used to be movies that made you feel good about yourself
Mm-hmm.
and good about the fact that you went to the theater and spent
Yes.
some time and had a good time with your friends and family and your girlfriends and yourself, whatever. Uh, that atmosphere has sort of diminished,
Mm.
I would say. And today, when I see like a nice Kung Fu Panda Part 4 that just came out this year,
Yes.
and I went to the theater and I was so happy because I saw families in the theater after such a long time.
Yes.
Kids coming and having popcorn and watching the film, and it's a funny film, and there are no stakes and no intense stuff happening, and just a good time
Yeah.
at the cinema.
Yeah.
And because I tell you, uh, movie watching, you and I are passionate about watching films and what films are all about, but it's also about spending time with your loved
Yeah.
ones. Going to the theater, watching, sharing. It's a shared
Oh
experience,
yeah.
right? I'd heard. I think it was James Cameron. I think who had said this when Avatar, the first one, had released. He said that if there's a good film and you've had a good experience, you want to share it with your loved ones. You want to tell them that, listen, boss, this is a film. You should go to the theaters and watch this. It's amazing. It's a good time. So I feel that shared experiencing thing and all of this has sort of gone a little down. So I just feel that there needs to be films which go back to the basics, a good time at the cinema,
Yeah.
a good time with your friends and family and your loved ones, just a package which I think are sort of coming now more and more.
Uh-huh.
Like if you see the box office as well, I mean, the movies that are really doing well are these family films.
Yes.
Like Inside Out, for
Yeah.
example, the sequel of Inside Out.
Mm-hmm.
Why does that work so beautifully? Because families went, they had a good time, they had a gala time,
Yeah.
and that helps everybody make feel good. I mean, I recently watched the new Deadpool movie, and it was a midnight show, and I was watching it and I was like, okay, what's happening? And then the movie happens, and after the film, I'm just feeling so good.
Yeah.
I'm just feeling so like stress free and relaxed, and I'm with my friends and we're chatting, and it just felt pre-pandemic,
Right.
where we were just we used to
Yeah.
just watch movies to enjoy. So I feel movies which have an overall completeness to them, movies that have this entertainment factor, just a good time at the cinema. It can be any genre. It can be the darkest movie in history, or it can be the lightest, most funniest film in history. It can just be a drama,
Right.
but just a good time. You watch it and you feel your money's worth. So I feel that is what needs to happen now. I think we need to make complete films. We don't need to make an advert for the next
Mm-hmm.
30, 40 films that are,
Yeah.
you know, um, that's where we're sort of lacking. It's happening everywhere. It's not just Bollywood or Hollywood or
Yeah.
anywhere. It's just happening. It's like, okay, we'll give you a hint of this, and now guess what's going to come next? But then you wait for 3 years after
Yeah.
this. Unless you, I mean, dude, what about now? What about my time spent now? I'd rather just watch it on OTT. So, and then there are some hidden gems. I would like, you're like the 16th person I'm sharing this movie with. It's called Ultraman Rising on Netflix. I watched it, and I've had the best time of my life after so long. I was on a flight watching that film. It's an animated film, and what a beautiful film, man. I just realized after watching the film, because I was crying, laughing, enjoying. I was just having a blast, and I sort of remember people around me getting a little weirded out. Okay, we have an involved, indulgent person around us. Um, but then after that, after watching the film, I realized how important movie watching is,
Yeah.
how important media is to us,
Yes.
how it makes us feel more alive.
Yeah.
We're already alive, we're having a good time, but we feel more alive.
Yeah.
So I guess the filmmakers and the producers, whoever's gonna watch our podcast, yours and mine, are gonna get what I'm gonna say.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. And it's refreshing to hear that from someone who's on the other side of the screen, because I do hear this as an audience. I hear this from my friends and other viewers and other um, people who criticize and critique films, but to hear from someone who is part of like the making of all these crafts, it's nice to know that we're on the
Right.
same page. Before we move on to another
Yeah.
movie you were a part of, I did want to comment on, I don't know if you saw these, but that is a mean part twos. So like trailers. I don't know if you've seen these, but people are clearly so fond of the film that they're trying to manifest something maybe. So I guess I want to ask you, how do you feel about stepping back into the character of Ishan and playing his life as an adult character? Is that something you'd want to revive? I know you just mentioned that we need complete films, but because it's so iconic, would you want to revive that role, or do you feel like it doesn't need to be touched?
Okay, I'm gonna answer this in two ways. Okay, the first way is I'm gonna tell you as a personal, as my personal experience.
Yeah.
I would do that at a drop of a hat. Okay,
Yeah.
you can wake me up at 3 a.m. in the night and tell me that Darsheel, and I'll be in my boxers sleeping, and you'll tell me, Darsheel, we are gonna play Shana Avasti again, and I would do that
Yeah.
in any corner of the world, wherever you ask me to.
Yeah.
Okay, because uh, I can't put into words um, the relation I have with this Chan,
Mm-hmm.
which is me, and also the amount of love that character uh, generated, manifested. I don't know what has, and the amount of multi generational relatability that character had. So I would do that at the top of a hat. There is a sequel. There's a spiritual sequel coming. It's called Sitare Zameen Par with Amir sir and everybody, and I'm aware of it. I read the news about it every day, and yeah, I'm waiting for that film to come out and see what's up.
Okay.
I yeah.
Well, it's nice to hear that you have as much love for the character as much as we do. I know it can get annoying sometimes. You want to separate yourself from the character, so I would understand if you didn't want to. But it's nice to hear that you're kind of a part of it.
Yeah, I think separating a character. I mean, after every film or any show or any play that I do, you take a couple of days off and you separate. You just pack your things and bid adieu to that character.
Yeah.
Mm, this is something I've not been able to. I've played so many characters. There's been a little bit of. It's like the first song you hear
Mm.
when you're a child.
Yeah.
You sense that has such an everlasting impact on you that any song you end up liking after that till the age of 50, 60, till you have hearing,
Yeah.
has a touch of the first song you've ever heard. Like for example, I heard Yanni when I was like 8. So if you've heard, do you know of Yanni, the
I
artist?
don't think I do.
Global. You should check him out. You
Okay.
should really check him out. He's a global sensation. Insane.
I'll write it down.
Um, does a lot of fusion. Yanni.
Okay.
Yanni.
Awesome.
Okay, you gotta check him out. So I heard Yanni when I was 8 or 7, I believe, and that's not music that a 7-year-old is supposed to listen to. It's all operatic symphony, fusion, electronica mixed with violins and piano,
Mm.
and it's such a surreal sensation. And then I rediscovered Yanni the beginning of 2024, and I realized all the music I've heard ever in my life
Yeah.
has had a touch of Yanni in it.
Okay.
Be it Bollywood music or be it anything, even independent music, indie, any stuff,
Yeah.
anything has had a touch and a little bit of that melody or the synth of what Yanni uses. So for films, for me, the character that I played the first time in my life, and because I was so young, anything that I've done after that, there is a little bit of a tinge of that character
Mm.
or a tinge of that approach towards that character that I had, which will be a challenge for me. Like I would love to absolutely memory wipe this character from the audience and get them invested in another character.
Yeah.
That will be a challenge and a half. And I've done my recent work that I've done, which is sort of in the pipelines to release over the next year or so, is sort of something like that. I cannot say how good it will be, but I can say that my intent and my approach towards that was something similar. That okay, now I've grown up. People sort of have an idea that he's not the kid with the bunny teeth now. He's 27, or
Yes.
which will shock them a little. But when they see that, hopefully, they can see the baby steps that I'm taking to eventually be somebody they really like.
Yes. And I have no doubt in that. You definitely put your 110% into the characters. I can see the behind the scenes of the behind the scenes that goes into these, which is really nice to hear how everything comes together. So, jumping to another movie, I really enjoyed it because it touches on, I think the topic has been touched on by a few different filmmakers and poets and singers, but I think why I appreciated this is for a similar comment I made back is that it respects my time. It brings this topic that we are all very much relating on a different level, whether directly or indirectly, seeing someone go through it. It's really nice how it all just comes together and it feels complete. It doesn't feel like you have to fill in the gaps and you have to answer what happened there, what was the plot over there. So I guess I want to ask you, what do you think makes a movie successful, or what makes a good movie? And do good or bad movies even exist?
Yes, they do. See, I'll be very honest with you. Uh, for you to judge what a good or bad movie is to look at it with a certain demographic of a number of people. Okay, now that can depend from 100 to 1,000 to a crore, or millions. I don't know. That's my box office.
Yes.
They judge the success of a film through box office because so many people are going to watch the movie. But now you don't know if how many people are going to watch the movie are out of curiosity, out of word of mouth, out of advertising, or they're just bored, or do they really like it?
Right.
And an easy way to judge that is if you see that the movie is not opened that well, not that high numbers on their opening days or so, but then it consistently keeps making money.
Uh-huh.
It consistently, its numbers keep sustaining and even increasing for the matter of fact. By the way of the water, the Avatar sequel that had come, for 3 months there was no other film that released around it. It was just making money and money and money because everybody wanted to watch the film. Everyone wanted that Wonderland, that theme park experience in a movie theater. So I feel good or bad movies exist if you look at it from a consensus, if you look at it from a very big demographic of a lot of people. Did they like it or did they not like it? Majority. Simple. End of story. If you look at it individually, of course, a film has so many aspects. It's hard not to appreciate just the effort that has gone into making a film.
Yeah.
I can name the worst film known to mankind, and then somebody like me who knows about this craft would say, okay, you know what? This is what is appreciable in the it's appreciable in the film. This is what can be appreciated. However bad the movie overall, the experience overall is,
Yes.
you'd be like, no, you know what? I think the sound effects are good. I don't mean the background score. I mean the sound effects. So anything can be appreciated in a movie.
Yeah.
So individually, okay, there are no good or bad films.
Okay. Okay.
There's something or the other you're gonna find to appreciate, right? I feel it's a very simple formula to make a good movie. It's absolutely simple because this is coming from somebody who's a nerd, who's a film nerd. 18 years, I've just read, lived movies. We can have an episode, a podcast season of about the amount of movies I've watched and the amount of shows I've read. But I would just tell you that it's damn simple. It's just like firstly mentioning that's a complete film. That's one. But then after that, you have characters people want to invest in. You have characters which were written. Writers who used to write amazing films are now not sort of writing that much. They are like, okay, I'll write later. They're done with they've written amazing stuff. So they're like, okay, why should I sustain? Why should I continue doing so? Let the new people come on board. The new people are coming on board with a different approach. They're coming up with an approach of, okay, let's get viral. Let's make money.
Yeah.
Let's Instagram this thing.
Yes.
So the approach, I mean, today Deadpool and Wolverine is a 2 hour 7 minute movie. It makes me feel like I've consumed content worth 6 hours.
Okay.
the amount of discussion the film has led to
Yeah.
about every cameo and every theory and everything possible, and I feel, wow, okay, I don't see, I see a complete movie, but 2 hours 7 minutes, not a 4 6 hour 4 hour film. Okay, it makes me feel emotionally happy. It makes me live emotionally rather. That I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm relating with the character, I'm relating with them, with my memories, my association with those characters. Like Wolverine, for example, fantastic, portrayal by Hugh Jackman. Something so similar he's been doing for the 20 years, but something still so different because he's come back after so long.
Right.
And then I'm seeing that, and I'm like, damn, this is what the future of movie going is gonna become.
Yeah.
You're gonna be watching a lot of content in very less time,
Mm.
and it's gonna work. People are gonna be right invested. You can argue with me and say that Deadpool was announced in 2016, it released in 2016 once, 2018. People are familiar with him through all the reels and the videos and two big films and a lot of mentions and everything and the comics. But still, making a film of this size and then making an audience be like, okay, fine, this was a fun watch, is what I feel. I mean, you're making a movie which has relatable character. You have an over the top character. Example, a dragon having human like qualities, having
Mm-hmm.
flaws that we experience. Why do you think animated movies do so well?
Yeah.
Because they have these unreal characters
Mm-hmm.
living human lives.
Yeah.
Cars, you mentioned cars, right? The film. I mean, you mentioned cars as a real commodity. I meant car. I thought you were referring to the film Cars
Oh, okay.
because it's such a pleasant memory for
Uh huh.
me going to IMAX and watching that film and the cars having eyes and
Yeah.
talking, and I was like, wow, man,
Yeah.
I really relate to this. So the idea is to relate good music. I mean, see, I'll tell you something very simple. Bottom line, I have beaten too much around the bush in his answer. um, I'll tell you that if everybody does their job, the writer should do his job, the producer should do his job, the director should do his job, the actor should do their jobs, and all the technicians, you'll have a fantastic movie. I think this is the simplest way I can put it
Okay.
forward to you. What happens is today, the actors are becoming directors and
Mm.
producers. The producers are, okay, businessmen. The directors are just like, okay, let somebody else take over. My associates will do this. You have the musicians being like, okay, I can pick up music from here and I can
Mm-hmm.
rehash this and make this into a remake.
Right.
Uh, there's no soul in this.
Mm.
Do your job. You've seen S.S. Rajamouli's films. You know what he does? He takes his entire crew to some tucked away place like a resort or something, and the entire team gels together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the musician knows what the actors are feeling,
Yeah.
the emotions. The actors know what the music is gonna be like.
Yeah.
The director knows his stuff. The editor knows this. The VFX. Every single. It's a married process, and then you see a complete experience on cinema. And whatever he wants to show you, you will enjoy. Think people are getting now thoda hard pressed to do because movies are not doing that well.
Yeah.
So now people are like, okay, back to basics, guys. Let's really take an effort into
Yeah.
making good films.
Yeah.
So if everyone does the jobs, I think you'll get a good one.
Yeah. No, well said. We kind of need a reset on everything. I feel like we just gone way too deep into the tunnel, and maybe we need to get back into the basics, just like you
Yeah.
said. So moving a little
Yes.
bit, yeah, moving a little bit away from movies for a moment, and a little bit onto TV shows. If the opportunity were to arise for you to play a character in a TV show, would you take it? Yes or no?
100%.
Okay.
100%. Why, yes. I told you already that I'm a greedy actor. Are you gonna see me in every form of acting? Unless it just like drains me and I'm not relating to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I like sometimes I don't think that's necessary for me to do it. I'll not do that. But I recently completed a web show, which I will be talking about in the coming months, where I'm playing uh, a very cool character, something that I sort of dreamt of
Okay.
in my life. It's something very, 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 very normal. There's no glamour, there's nothing. It's just a normal next door guy. But the character and his graph and his journey and what he does is what I've always dreamt of. So I just recently completed a show. In fact, this is one of those years where I've done a feature film, I've done a web show, and I've done theater, all three together. And I've not found any balance though. I'm looking for that balance. How I can just make this little nicely a consistent process. So yeah, this has been a start for me. Very happy, grateful start, and I'm looking forward to making this a more streamlined and a more relaxed process. As to I know what the web space is, I know what the the commercial cinema, the theater going space is, and I know what theater. I mean, doing drama plays,
Yeah.
what that space is.
Yeah.
So yeah, web shows
Okay.
any day.
Oh, that's so exciting. Yeah, to
Yeah.
hear that we could see you in different places. That's exciting. So, on to more excitement and thrill. I want to know your secrets. But not dark secrets, don't worry. I want to know maybe secret talents or like a fun fact about you. What's something that the world doesn't know about Darsheel?
I have a very different way of feeling sound. I can just sound, okay, not people talking necessarily, even how people talk, but just um, instrumental music
Yeah.
and some form. I can feel a frequency there. I can suddenly start putting that into words.
Yeah.
I'm able to interpret sound and I'm able to interpret that into words. Is exactly what this means.
Mm.
Like possibly there'll be a song and I'd say, this song feels like an air conditioner, but not just a regular air conditioner. It feels like you're going in a space tunnel in a train and the AC inside and the music would play is this.
Yeah.
This is how the song feels.
Yeah.
So stuff like that.
All right.
I it's absolutely alienating stuff for people around me. They get weirded the hell out. But there are some people who really are intrigued by this. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what's up with this guy? Yeah, so I really interpret sound differently, and I am I'm a compulsive uh, a humor infuser
Okay.
person.
Yeah.
Any situation, I'll be forcing in some form of satire or some form of comedy or some form. I don't know. It's an escape mechanism for me. We were having a very very intense conversation last night with I was with a group of friends, and for some reason, I had to force in this not very well timed joke, but it did get a response. So I have this habit of compulsively infusing humor into situations. I get slapped for it someday, I guess. And then what else? I love music. Yeah, I think I also write.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a writer in the last 5 7 years. I write stories, and I've in fact recently begun parrying the stories around to producers and writers and directors.
Mm-hmm.
And they tell me, okay, Darsheel, what do you want this to be? And I'd say, what do you want it to be, sir? What do
Mm.
you think? Where does this work? And they'd say, okay, Darsheel, I think this will be a good web show. And I would convert that story into a web show, or I would
Okay.
convert that story into a feature film. So I've been recently writing, and I've been having a great time writing. That creative process of creating a story, an imaginary character, and him going through all these things which anybody can do. So yeah, that's what mostly sums things up.
Very cool.
And yeah,
All right.
if I
Awesome.
remember, I'll tell you more.
So I don't mean for you to get blacklisted for my next question, but I feel like you'll do all right. You won't have a problem answering this. So I'm curious to know what you feel like Indian cinema kind of needs to stop doing and just drop it, whether it be a storyline or maybe certain tropes, character arcs that we need to stop doing, or and maybe something that India can adopt into the film industry. What's something that kind of is like, okay, we're over it, we're tired, we don't want to see it, and something that we're just itching and craving to see.
I'm. I would firstly I would be very honest with you on this. I'm too inexperienced to give my opinion, but you've asked me, so I'm supposed to give it. I will give it to you. Um, I I do feel as personally, I feel that we're approaching this with a tentativity and fear.
Okay.
Um, there used to be a time because in our industry, actors are more celebrated than the characters that they are playing,
Hmm.
right? and everybody. We have a 140 crore population. Everybody knows Shah Rukh Khan, Amir Khan, Salman Khan, Akshay Kumar, Hrithik Roshan. Everybody, Ranbir Kapoor, Ranveer Singh. Everybody. Um, there used to be a relatability to them. However big those celebrities used to be, the biggest lifestyles possible, but there used to be some relatability between, say, a house help and the said person. There used to be a connect that person used to feel when we have a character who's playing somebody who's a rickshaw driver, example, a taxi driver,
Yeah.
for example. They used to feel a relatability. Their interviews, how they used to talk, how they used to present themselves, there used to be relatability. And that used to sort of make them immune to giving a bad film. So they'd give a film which might be slightly average, but they would have an audience going because they support the actor,
Yeah.
right? And today I feel that because there is a sort of a relevancy test going on in our industry post pandemic, how relevant are you? Um, 5 years ago is feeling like 50 years ago now.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean, memory wise, because now you've consumed so much goddamn content, you've watched so many films that it feels like, oh really? I mean, this movie released just in 2021, 2018. No, some people are thinking, oh, I don't even remember this movie. Whereas before, they used to be like, this movie came out last year. I know this movie came out 2 years back. Like if I tell people that Tare Zameen Par came 18 years back, they're like, 18 years back? It feels like it just came. Like people are, it's the opposite and the very positive side of the spectrum. I don't mean to boast myself to this, but it's just what the reality of it is. So I feel that our actors, because now the relevancy test is going on, and there are people who are churning out repeatedly films and films and films and films, and they want to be relevant. The films are doing sort of not as well as they were supposed to. So the distance unknowingly is being created even more between the audience. So now even when the actors are doing good films, they are not being
Yeah.
finding the audience that they deserve.
Yeah. I agree. That's a great
Now
point.
it's everything is in the audience's hands.
Oh yeah, it is.
You
It,
know,
the audience has the power.
if they are in the mood for a horror film, you remove an average horror film, okay? And if they are in the mood for a horror film, you'll have 100, 200, 300 crore blockbuster. If they're not in the mood for the most expensive action-packed movie with the biggest star cast ever in the world, and they're not in the mood for that, that movie is gonna tank and how. So everything today is in the hands of the audience. I feel as actors, all of us, and I'll tell you, I can, in fact, I don't mind naming that person, Shah Rukh Khan, for the matter of fact. Uh, he seemed to be. Hello, are you there?
Yeah.
Hello,
Am I frozen for you?
Nazari?
Am I?
Yes, you've. It's a sunset now
Oh.
with cars and some. Yeah, hi.
Okay. All right. Yes.
So I was saying that I wanted to give the example of Shah Rukh Khan because he feels like really wanting to take care of the audience. He really looks like he wants the audience to have a good time, and the audiences can feel that,
Yeah.
and that's why they're going to the theater. He's not looking at okay, that relatability gap. He's trying to say that boss, मेरे को ये कम करना है, मुझे मेरे audience के साथ connect. I want to connect with my audience.
Yeah.
So, and even for the matter of fact, I'm not saying nobody does this, but of late I've seen this actor specifically do this, and that's why he has the biggest damn films of the year.
Yeah.
The directors, your Ranbir Kapoor's, your Amir Khan, Amir sir, he after Lal Singh Chadda, he's like, okay, I need to make a film which really relates with the audience, and he's somebody who's done this all his life, in the last 30 years or so.
Yeah.
He's been a guy who has, you can say that he and the audience are one. He sits with the audience when he's watching his own film. So you know that.
Yeah.
And that's how the amount of effort the actors need to now today, the newer generation people need to take.
Yeah.
Okay? Or you'll not do it. Because then you're not born for this. Unless you're born to do this. I've always believed that I'm born to do this, so then life will find a way for me to express.
Yeah.
So, I think that that connection with an audience needs to be created, not PR driven and not your agency driven stuff,
Yeah.
which you do, but a soulful connection. And trust me when I'm saying this, our audiences are all gifted. All of them are the biggest, like the I can tell you, they're an intuition machine. They watch a film and they can sense what the actor is trying to say
Yeah.
and what message the actor is trying to propagate.
Yeah.
So if you do the right work, the right intent, um, you can really strike a chord with. I think so. I feel what we need to do is just like relax a little. I think that's the that's the vaguest answer I can give you. Just relax a little. Make the movies because you want to make them, not because of this factor and that factor and this OTT and that theater. And
Mm-hmm.
just make movies because you want to make movies. You like it.
Yes.
I think that's
I
as
think
simple as
I
I
think
can
what
put
you're
it.
trying to say is maybe movies need to go back to being maybe an art and not so much a business venture.
But trust me, it can be a business and an art
Of
at the same
course.
time. I am saying this without, like, I'm saying this with what I've seen in my life. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen films which are made as a business case,
Hmm.
but then they're also artistically insane. I mean, creatively or whatever, concept wise. It can be a rehash of some 80s movie, I don't care. But
Yeah.
when you watch the film and you're like, wow, this is amazing, this is
Yeah.
what I'm relating with.
Yeah.
Like this year, if you see, two of the biggest hits have been horror films.
Mm-hmm.
And for Bollywood is what I meant. And we don't have we used to be the most scared for horror.
Yeah.
Bollywood was known for to be the most deadly, the worst approach they would give us to horror because they were like, "Arey, it doesn't work here."
Yeah.
Now imagine one of the two biggest hits of this year have been horror films. So people are ready. Tum bas just make your shit. Like make what you want to make. People are gonna watch it if the intent is correct. And if you want to make it as a business thing, do it as a business. Just don't do it only as a business thing.
Yeah.
Make it business with thoda to art, like little bit. So you and I should relate to what we are watching.
Exactly.
If we are not relating and we're like, ये business के लिए बना जा रहा है, तो we'll just shut up and not watch the
Oh my
movie then.
goodness.
So
No,
yeah.
but yeah, that's a very good analyzation that not a lot of people pick up on. So I appreciate that. Um, I know you said that acting, you were born to act. Like it's made for you and you're made for it. But my question is, if not acting, what?
Thank you for this absolutely scary question. Uh, I don't know. I really don't know because I tell you something. I was never planning to be an actor. I was an expressive kid. I really loved dancing, jumping around, talking to people, being the class clown. I loved making people smile and laugh and whatnot. And so I feel that if not acting, something in the creative space for sure. It
Yeah.
could have been either a painter or a musician or whatnot. I would have also taken over possibly my dad's business. I don't know. I would have done things like that. For a more streamlined and a settled that is settled.
Yes. Okay.
Sorry, sorry. So I was saying that I would have taken over something else, but definitely I would be flocking my wings around the creative space.
Yeah. That's amazing to hear that you would make it work. All right, so we are
Of course.
actually down to our final question. But before I ask it, I just wanted to
Yeah.
ask you said you're working on a few projects right now, and of course, I'm not going to ask you to give the name right now, but if we can just, when can we expect something? When can we see you on the screen again?
I can share quite a few of that information with you. So there is a film called Tibba, Tibba. Okay, it is like the tip of the mountain, tip of the
Mm-hmm.
hill. It's a murder mystery. It's a dark murder mystery, serial killer shit. And me playing a character like that is so exciting because I've never done something like this before. I used to be scared of doing I used to be scared of these films overall, and now I'm playing a character like that. So you'll see me with like, absolutely overgrown hair. I have a cast on my legs, so I'm limping throughout the film, and it's like that typical murder mystery, serial killer stuff, and
Okay.
fun. I enjoyed exploring this dark, shady character. Where you don't know if he's actually white or black. He's actually grey. So that's with Ada Sharma and Sonali Kulkarni ma'am, and hopefully in the next 6 months or so. It's just completed actually. So they're just discussing when to release it on an OTT or a theatrical release. I don't know.
Yep.
So Tibba is one film. Another film I just completed is with Abhishek Banerjee sir, Raghuveer Yadav sir, Madhumita ma'am, Aisha Raza ma'am, Shrishti Srivastava is playing my sister, where I'm playing an East Delhi ka character. If you know what a Londa means,
Yes.
एक Londa hota hai, East Delhi ka Londa. So I'm playing East Delhi Londa, which I didn't expect myself to play ever in my life. I think my dad's gonna disown me after seeing me play that, because he's an absolute he's a bomb. He is a blast to be in the skin of. His name is Raja, and he has a tattoo of a king with a crown, and absolute wannabe. Loved playing this character. It's a comedy film, so that's two. And then there's a film that I finished, which is about to, which is finished, which is a biopic on Jyoti Bafule
Okay.
with Pratik Gandhi sir and Patralekha ma'am, Vinay Pathak. I'm playing Pratik sir's son,
Okay.
and I'm playing a 30-year-old.
Okay.
So I'm excited to. Yes, I had gained weight. My face had become this big.
Oh
My hair was
wow.
so long, and I had a muchi, and you're not ready to see me. And this is 18th century, right at the end of the 18th century. There was a pandemic that had come back then, a plague
Hmm.
rather. तो उसके टाइम का थोड़ा बहुत है, and I was a doctor at that time, so you see me in a dhoti and a kurta, a different look altogether. That's three films, and there's what else? And there is a couple of web shows. I mean that one I told you right now that's something I've always dreamt of. It's a nearing completion where I can then start talking about it. So
Hmm.
there's a lot of content. And my theatre, I've produced my first play, and we've just started a run of private shows, commercial shows, and corporate shows. So stuff is it's beginning now.
Yeah.
It's the car, it's the gear has shifted, and now
Very soon. Yes.
the movement will start. And I'm planning to build a very solid base. To be very honest, um, these movies may work, may not work. I would hope it does. I hope that the audiences can identify some amount of intent and hard work that I put in, and because it's for them and nobody else,
Yeah.
and my love for them. So that can allow me to really, let loose as an actor,
Yeah.
really unleash and really try versatile amount of roles and characters, and really make a place in their heart, and they remember that okay, going to the cinema was fun.
Yes.
So or any form of content that they're
Hmm.
watching. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff really in the pipeline, and very excited to showcase it to everybody.
Yeah. No, that's very exciting. I'm definitely gonna keep my eye out for that. Um, things across the board,
Thanks.
different genres. So that's also exciting to see you in different kind of something that we're not familiar with, which will be exciting to see.
Yes.
So yes,
Yeah.
our final question. What is the Shield's vision board? What does it look like? What do you envision for yourself?
Wow.
I know.
Would you imagine this? You're the first person in the world over the last 18 years of my life to ask me this question.
Really?
And you won't believe 2024 is the first year I actually took the pain to make a vision board.
Okay.
I am a lazy guy. Trust me, an absolutely lazy guy. I'll sort your scene out, but I'll not sort mine. I did make a vision board. It had some really bad old pictures of me where
Hmm.
I had a good physique. I had like abs and shit when I was younger, and the photos were really bad. So I put them there, and there was. I remember putting a music studio. There was an audience clapping on a theater hall. What else was there? There was gold bars for some reason.
I love
I
that.
don't know, man. I mean, I'm a weird guy. I have these random ass things. But the idea, I mean, see, the thing is that you put all these things where you're just streamlining your mind into these six, seven different parts that, okay, you want to achieve these things. The thing is, you need to do your groundwork right. Yeah. I feel my groundwork is my acting, my work. I need to be honest with it. I'll be able to achieve anything. I'll not have to make any vision board or something.
Mm.
I can manifest whatever I want
Yeah.
if I do my work well, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
It's almost as close to me as spirituality is. You know how a person approaches religion.
Yeah.
I approach this like spirituality for me. It's energy. I'm putting work inside, and I'm trying to relate with an audience, make them feel better, and
Yes.
happier and possibly introspect about their lives. Not necessarily everything has to be rosy and bloomy. So I'm approaching work. What's in my hand? I've forgotten the vision board. I've shared with you some cringy stuff, but yeah, that's there. Some cars. I really want to get a cool car this year. Let's see if that happens.
Right.
I learned driving very recently, so I had put my driver's license. So I got my driver's license now. So that's one part done. Physique wise, I'm nowhere. So let's see now. These things need to really be put into action. Good, thanks for reminding me. I have a vision board. I'm going to start working on it right after.
Yeah, I didn't mean to put the pressure on, but yeah, I know that you've dabbled. You've done the acting, you've done ads, you've acted in a music video. You've also, I couldn't find the title for this, but helped your friend in a startup production house of sorts.
Yes. How do you know this?
I interviewed him.
Yeah. Oh, damn. Right.
Yes. So with that, do you feel like you would kind of, I guess, expand, and would you go into modeling? Would you try to pursue music? I don't know how how musically inclined you are with.
I always believe in one thing, that ideas are infinite. I had vision boards every year. I used to write ideas, and not vision boards. I had like this notebook where I used to write my ideas. Okay, I want to do this, this, this. I want to become a pilot. Suddenly, because I'm that kind of person who believes I can achieve anything in the world.
Awesome.
Okay. I've realized that you need to ground. Some grounding work is also necessary. You need to know what you're good at, streamline that, absolutely sharpen yourself up in that, really justify that, what you're doing, why you're doing it. Milk it if you can, in a positive way. Finish your homework is what I meant.
Right.
And your homework is my homework for me is my acting. If I'm not focusing on my homework, I'm not going to be able to achieve anything in my extracurricular activities, which is possibly if I want to do music, or if I want to do production, or if I want to become a director. If I'm not doing my homework, if I'm not giving my basic academic exams, which is my acting, I'm not going to be able to achieve all this. I'm going to fail the year. So I'm approaching it like that. I'm focusing on what is in my hand, what I'm good at, what is the only thing I know how to do in the entire world is to act.
Right.
So let's see now where it takes me, and I don't know. I'm just hoping for the best.
All right. Well.
But yeah, if it works out well, I can really promise that some extremely exciting stuff is on the way, like stuff that you're not ready for.
Okay. Well, I see it. You gave us a little bit insight. You definitely know what you're talking about. You have an approach. You like to plan, and you're very philosophical, and I love that. We need that. Thank you so much, Darsheel, for joining me today. I loved all your insights, all the valuable things you said, all the humor you brought to this episode. It was truly a refreshing perspective. And to my beautiful listeners, stay tuned for the next one, and stay tuned for all of Darsheel's amazing work to come your way. All right, bye-bye.
Thank you so much for having me, and some amazing questions as well. Thank you.